One come all, those short, those tall. There may be some clowning around, but you'll get an earful all in all. No need for waivers, no need for saviors. Don't be frightened, do not hide. Enter now and enjoy the ride. So step right up, those far and near. The attraction is set, it's Ear for Fear.
Hi, welcome to the Ear for Fear podcast. This is the podcast that talks about scary movies or movies trying to be scary. I'm Rick. I got Scott here.
Hello.
How's it going, buddy?
Good.
Thanks
for having me.
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming on. It's been a bit.
Yeah, I don't remember the last movie we did.
It's probably since last year because
Yeah.
we took a kind of an extended break. Yeah, we took an extended break. I don't remember what you came out for. It would have been last year, and I'll be honest, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I know we did Bone Tomahawk, and I think we did.
Is it Nicolas Cage related?
Oh yeah, what did we do? What was the one where his?
No, we did Mandy, but I don't know if that was the last one that we.
Yeah, we did do Mandy. I don't remember what the last one was that we
Yeah.
did. Yeah. Well, welcome back. Hey, you're here.
Yeah. It's always fun to talk about horror movies.
Horror movies.
It's the month for it.
It is the month for it. It's October. I'm not sure when this one will come out though. It'd probably be a little bit of probably be a little. I could technically move it up. I have one to release.
Expedite it.
I could expedite it. I mean, it's my podcast, so I could do whatever I want. I do have an episode that Morris and I did, and I think it's Infested. Have you seen that?
No.
It's the spider movie. It's I think it's French. Yeah, it was decent. Like I would I would say it's worth a watch. I didn't love it, but it was a solid outing, and it's spiders. I don't know if you're into spiders, but.
How is it compared to Arachnophobia? The only other spider movie that I can think
really?
of.
Okay. Eight-Legged Freaks comes to mind. And we did another one. What we did is we recorded Sting, which is also a spider movie, and Infested. We figured let's do some spider movies because both were on our radar, and we'd heard some decent things about them. So we recorded Sting, and then we did Infested around the same time. And both are like they're solid. Like they're not great, but they're not bad either. Like,
sure, yeah.
You could tell money was put into them, and little different though. Like you got one that has just an ass ton of spiders, which is Infested, and then you got this other one, which is like kind of one main spider that just gets humongous. It's literally a space spider. It comes from space. So it has like this. That my issue with it was, and it's in the episode, was that it didn't, like, is it campy or is it not campy? Like, it was campy at times and humorous, and then other times it was serious. Mm-hmm. And I don't like that. Like, pick a lane, go down it, and that's what you do. Don't try to mix the two. I'm weird like that, I guess. Mm-hmm. But they're both decent. Like, I would say check them out,
Yeah.
But I gotta release Infested here soon, and then I could push this one up, But we're doing 2024's Longlegs. That's it. That's all I got.
What is that sound?
I don't know what that is. You don't almost sound like breathing. Because there was a few.
Sound like somebody pushing something.
Let's try it again. Hold on. Ready? Longlegs. It's almost like a mixture of breathing and something else.
Like someone trying to shove something in a tube.
Yeah. The thing is, I'm very limited these days on sound effects. I was trying to find some sound effects. I had a couple years ago. I bought this sound effects kind of package,
like a suite
from this company, and they keep emailing me, and I hit delete, but I'm like, I may have to try to get, because I'm not good enough to make my own, and I don't want to steal stuff. Like, I'd rather someone get some money. So, but I'm finding that it's more difficult for me to come up with that stuff.
Oh, right.
It's these kind of short takes, and so it's like, oh, maybe I'll Maybe the next email they send over to me, I'll listen to it and maybe spend $50 and get some sounds. You know?
Yeah. Start sampling stuff from like horror movies, and
I could.
I think that in your repertoire.
I think what it is, Scott, is that I'm not good at that shit. It's easy for me to buy a suite and listen to the the little sound clips and go, okay, that'll work. I could figure out how to, like, what I would like to do honestly is grab something from the movie itself. Like, so like today we're doing Longlegs, right? I'd love to grab some, like a part of
Nicolas Cage yelling,
yes. Yes, something like that would be cool. I just don't know how to. I'm not great at sampling it and then finding a way to get it on here.
Yeah, right. That's what you got kids for.
Yes, and I could probably bother Donovan with that. And you know what? Now that we're talking about it, because I would prefer not to spend $50 or $100 on stuff,
right? Yeah,
and then just sample from the movie itself.
What do you think rappers have been doing for like
a million years? I know.
They don't want to.
I know. Sample that. I know. Yes, you're right. You're not wrong. And I've done it in a couple for a couple episodes, but it was I had someone else's help, and so maybe I'll get Donovan and say, hey Donovan, this is what I want to do. Show me how to do it. I'll write it all down, and then now I don't have to bother you anymore. And that way I can because I'd rather use those types of clips.
Yeah. Everything nowadays, there's ways to just drag and drop stuff.
You're right.
You know, just take a clip.
You're right.
Edit it, shorten it down, drag and drop, put it on.
Because all I need is 5 to 10 seconds. This is a Rodecaster. This thing is pretty cool because it has everything here that I need. So like right here, I have all the little buttons. I got 8 buttons. I think I can actually program more. And so it has all the stuff that I need. So, but I have to find a way that I'm going to have to. Okay, so I have to get it from one computer to the other computer. And that's not that difficult. I can do that. You
can go analog. You can get one of those old keyboards, like those Akai, keyboards from like synthesizers from the 80s. They have the little samplers. They have little microphones.
Oh shit! That would be
like
cool.
watching what's the movie? Ferris Bueller's Day Out. He has the little keyboard. Yeah, and he's got the.
Oh yeah. Yes, I could totally. That's kind of what this This is similar, but I mean, it's kind of like an interface, right? It has everything here that I need.
Yeah.
And I like it this way because I don't have to edit anymore. Like honestly.
Right. Yeah.
I once you and I are done with this episode, right? I hit end. And all I have to do really is just email it to my other computer, and then I have to go in and do the stuff for like YouTube. But other than that, it's kind of cool. And so if I can figure out that other thing, then I'm good. I don't have to use these little sound bites anymore.
Try to figure out what they are.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, well, does this fit? And so like today I was stretching. I was stretching on this one. So yeah. But anyways, the audience don't care about that. 2024's Longlegs. Do you want to do a quick synopsis? You want me to?
I hadn't planned to, so
I'll do it. And this is in pursuit of a serial killer. An FBI agent uncovers a series of occult clues that she must solve to end his terrifying killing spree. That's pretty much from IMDb.
That's the premise for every other horror movie for the last 25 years. No, I mean, yeah.
You're right. You're not wrong. Full spoilers.
1, 2, spoilers coming for you.
It's funny. Speaking of the spoilers, I have this idea. And I want to do it, but I'm not good at this. Maybe I can get your help. But I want to do this cool Warriors spoilers thing where I have bottles and I'm clicking them, and it says something like, instead of Warriors, it says spoilers.
Oh yeah.
They're on their way. Maybe I can get your help with that.
Yeah.
I could click some bottles and then I can use it for here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something I've been sitting on for like a
fun.
year.
Right.
I just haven't I'm not good at that shit. I can't do that stuff. So if you're willing to help me out.
Spoilers come out to play.
Yeah, like spoilers, they're on their way.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think? I don't know. I mean, it's not horror related.
Right,
Does it
yeah.
have to be horror related? I don't know. It's iconic.
Do you have a horror podcast?
Whatever. Fine. You just burst my bubble. All right. So we have Longlegs here. So you watched it last night?
I did. I watched it last night.
And I just watched it about an hour ago.
Yeah, that's I'm cramming. Yeah.
I crammed it. I was tight for time. So but I got it in. My initial thoughts, because you and I haven't talked about this at all. I liked it. I don't think I loved this movie.
I would have liked to watch it again.
Yes.
But since I bought it twice, I will have the opportunity.
Yes.
Once my my delayed 4K arrives, I will probably watch it again. I think it's a movie that definitely you could use some repeat viewings.
I think so, because
there's a lot going on visually and atmospheric and
Yeah.
things, and I don't know if I totally quite got all of what.
yeah,
Maybe they didn't quite explain everything so well.
I think I was kind of hoping that because I think you and I are in the same boat. I have some questions, and because we've only watched it once, we're kind of at a disadvantage here. Me for sure. I think you're probably better at catching stuff that I probably didn't catch. I think it warrants another watch or two.
I think it would be fun to go back and watch again.
Oh,
I don't
for
think
sure.
It would be a slog.
And-
I think it's
yeah.
got it's a good slow burn, but it doesn't feel long. It's not a long movie.
No, it's about an
But
hour and
it
40
does-
minutes, which I'm good with. Hour 30,
Yeah.
hour 40. It's great. I didn't feel like it drug. I felt it. I was entertained through the whole thing. Like you said, atmospheric wise, it felt. I was trying to figure out the year, and then I'm like, okay, I see Clinton, and then I think Agent Carter mentioned 1995 because he said it's 1975, and then 20 years later, we're making 1995.
Yeah.
And I know Clinton was like 93 to 2001
Yeah.
because I kept seeing that in the background.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, so we know it's around there, But then at the beginning of the movie when he's in the station wagon, I'm like, okay, is it? But then of course it was in the 70s when that happened.
Yeah.
So, but I liked it. I liked it. And I think they hyped this thing up so much. Nicolas Cage was great. He was in it just a good amount of time. Like I didn't feel like we needed him any more than he was in it.
Right. Yeah. He did it. He served his part of the story.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And but then I'm
that's
like, and I liked Lee Harker. I thought she was good. She was, I don't know. Weird's the word. She was. I don't know. I can't put my finger on it. I never understood. Like she was part psychic. Like she had power. Like at the beginning of the movie where her and that other agent are trying to find somebody, and she goes, "He's in this house." And she was right. Like, what was that about?
I don't know if the movie needed any of the supernatural. Well, like it's a supernatural because it's dealing with religion and the devil and everything.
Yeah.
But as far as like her taking like a psychic test with the FBI,
Yeah.
I don't think it needed that. I think her intuition on where he was coming from, the fact that like she has a doll made that he made with her, there's a connection between them that could have sufficed.
Yes,
She doesn't need to be taken like the Ghostbusters quiz on.
Yes, yeah.
Like that's kind of what that scene reminded me of.
It did remind
It's like
me
that.
of
I don't know if it needed that.
I don't think it did, because where else did it play in the movie?
It didn't. No,
Because she had flashbacks, but that was simply because she had something to do with him initially.
yeah, exactly. And
So I felt like that other stuff wasn't needed.
right.
Like if you were gonna make it a thing, then it should have been a thing more so throughout the movie, and it didn't seem that way at all, to me at least. And then I didn't understand, like, so are we really talking about the devil here? Like the dolls had the devil inside them? They were somehow manipulating the family to do, like, So we have like, we're going to jump around on this, and so we don't have to go in any particular order. So what I'm trying to understand is her mom, which to me, that wasn't a surprise. I kind of thought that the mom
She's hiding something.
Yeah,
Right, yeah.
totally,
She's-
man. It just felt that way,
Yeah.
and so none
The
of
phone
it
calls were always kind of weird. And
Weird.
like almost the responses were like delayed between her and her
Yes.
mom, and they were on different wavelengths, you know. So yeah, you got the sense that like something's off. you know?
Yeah, and for sure. And then when we see her, yeah, you know something's weird.
Yeah.
Like it just doesn't feel right. And so, you know, her mom. We find out that the mom essentially has been helping Longlegs. You know, in order for Agent Harker, Lee Harker, to have survived Longlegs 20 years earlier, 21 years earlier.
Yeah.
That's kind of like she's been doing this devil's work for him. But
Right, yeah.
but what's inside? This is what I don't understand. Is there something inside the dolls that, you know, that metal ball? Is it somehow manipulating the family in order, like, and it's typically the dad. So, or is there some supernatural here that's happening?
I think what it seemed is that he's creating these dolls, and he's creating some like way for the devil to manipulate these families through the doll, but just the presence of the doll and in kind of speaking to them on some wavelength. But then the thing I don't get, so when they uncover the doll at some point in an attic of a barn.
Yeah,
and it's connected to an actual girl who's in a mental institution.
Yeah.
But it's like, but that doll is connected to that girl, but that's the doll that was used to kill her family that
Yes.
the devil was speaking through. I didn't really,
So I don't understand that. Like, does Longlegs follow the family? Does he get in? Because if you remember, in the letters that Lee was deciphering, the one thing that kept popping up was the first family. So he had time with them. I that's the impression I get, that was maybe he had befriended them. I don't know. And so he made a doll of her, you know, and like as a present, because obviously the birthday's throughout, you know, the 14th, and so maybe that's how it came about. And you know, and then she was at school, and then the whole family is killed, and then 20 years she's in an institute. Like, is that what? But
then when they take the thing out of the doll's head, she basically comes out of her like catatonic. Well, it's implied that she's been in like a catatonic state.
But hold on, but no, I think what happened was when Longlegs went to visit her at the institute, was that before they went to the barn?
It was. Well, because
they didn't find the doll until they went to the barn.
Yeah, it was around the same time that he visits, but they do mention when they're dissecting the doll that they.
You know what? Now that again, forgive us because we just watched it once. If you remember, she deciphered the letters. They went to the barn, and then they went to go visit the little girl.
And he had already visited her. Yeah.
Yeah, and so then once they took the thing out of the doll, then
Yeah. They said it must have been a coincidence, you know. That
I don't think so, though, because
that we take the ball out of the head, she wakes up from her thing.
But dude, okay, so a couple things. So she would have been, that was 1975. Let's call her 12 or 13. I mean, what was she, 9 to 13? Like, so did she look 30 to you? Like, she looked like she was in her early 20s. It didn't.
Maybe
jive
that
with
one
me.
didn't happen in
No, it did though. That was the first
one?
family. Yeah, it was 1975. Because when they flash back to the family, there was a picture of Richard Nixon. That was the one where the guy took the axe to the preacher and to the wife, and she was though at school that day. Unless I'm wrong, and that was a completely different family. Because they kept saying she was at school, that's why she didn't die. And then we're to assume that she was orphaned and she's been in this mental institute this whole time. She didn't look in her 30s though.
Yeah.
Because that was 20 years later. And she was say 10 to 13, so it would make her 30ish. It just, I don't know, and I couldn't. But somehow the doll had a control over it, because at the very end with the one family. With Agent Carter's family, it had a control over the little girl. Like she was in some sort of almost hypnotized in a sense. Mm-hmm. So something inside the metal ball was doing this, but what? Or is it simply Satan? Satan's inside the ball?
Yeah, a lot of it just seemed unclear, a little bit muddled, a little bit. You don't know why things are happening. It's like... I think the setup was a little muddled, but I did enjoy the payoff when she goes to basically the family of her boss,
Yeah.
and the same thing is happening and in real time.
Yeah, that was. Didn't you feel like she could have done something additional?
Yeah, I was gonna,
like, what was she doing? Like, I mean,
she had a gun.
She had a gun.
Blow the doll up.
Shoot the
blow
doll.
doll's head off.
Shoot the mom, and then maybe it breaks this spell that they're under. Whatever this is.
I think I don't know. I just think they could have done it. It's like, it's not perfect. There's little things where I would have done differently. You know, when she comes running up to the house with a gun, Blair Underwood's character could have disarmed her, literally and figuratively. Basically, like, oh, everything's good. You don't need that, and then taking it from her, and then she wouldn't have had the ability to do anything as he stabs his wife to death in the kitchen.
In the kitchen,
You know, stuff like just little things like that. I think.
Didn't you feel? But to me, could she not have gone in the kitchen to do? Like, she could have done things. Like,
unless they played it off in a way that it was subtle what was going to happen next. You weren't quite sure, are they under the influence of this doll and he's going to murder, or are they just acting fine? I think there was like a line there.
Oh no, but see, at first when he opened the door, I felt like, oh, this is fine. But no, you could tell once they sat on the couch, something wasn't right.
That's what I think.
And so she could have now.
It was too much.
Was she?
I think they went over the line too much. Yeah.
And was she under some sort of, because like when her mom shot the doll, her doll, and she fainted.
She's in like a fog.
She's some weird
that,
fog.
right?
Like, could she have still been in this fog? But I just felt like she was coherent enough to drive to her boss's house.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't know. Like, there's like some unanswered. Now, maybe us watching it again, maybe, or maybe not. Maybe it's just meant to be that way. Maybe
it's just a little bit muddled.
And
I think a lot of movies are like that these days.
Oh, they're very much so. And I get and it's like a lot of the movies these days, they have this really cool story. And I feel like I would say 90% of the movie is really good, and then they just seem to screw up the ending. And I could go back to several of our podcasts and say that. And I'm not saying that's what happened here. It's just like I felt I needed something additional. Like, I'm still just
the execution just wasn't like,
like this is just something is missing. Like, again, there's so many good things that's happening in this movie. I love the flashbacks. I'm always a sucker for like that weird 70s creepy feel, because it always, like the station wagon, for instance. You know, there's certain things about the 70s that always, probably because I grew up in the 70s, but it just has this unsettling feel for me. You know, and so I like the flashbacks. I like the music was very minimalist. Like, there wasn't a lot going on, and I'm fine.
Atmospheric,
atmosphere. I'm fine with that. Like, there was tense situations where it's like for instance, when Longlegs gets into her house and she's outside and you can see him in there.
Right. Yeah.
And it reminded me of a nightmare I had when I was like a teenager, and it still messes with me. And I used to have this reoccurring dream of I would go outside because I'd hear something, and then I'd turn and I'd see someone in our house. And so when I saw that, dude, it like flashed me back to that.
Yeah.
And so it even was more unnerving for me.
Yeah.
And then when she's reading and she opens up the letter, and then there's this. You see the kitchen, and you're thinking he's in the kitchen.
Yeah, there's so many wide shots,
very wide shot. Yeah,
I did enjoy the cinematography. Like they did so many wide shots, but there's things placed in them, like you're looking around for things. You're like, is someone going to come out of there? What am I looking for something? Am I looking for a person? I did enjoy that.
Yeah. Well, there was a scene. I don't know if you caught it. She was at her mom's house, and that door was locked.
Right.
And on the fridge, you could see half of a drawing, and I'm pretty sure it was that house, and it was looked like 5 family members.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
Yeah, and honestly, when you rewatch it, look for it. It's on the fridge, and it's towards the bottom of I want to say it's the side of the fridge, and it looks like a kid drew it in crayon, and I swore I counted five people. But there was only her and her mom. Well, where they never explained where the dad went. Were there any? Remember, all that she kept saying was, "No one ever comes to visit us. No friends, no family."
Yeah, the doll too was part of the purpose of the doll also too, because didn't they mention that it covered up her memory?
Yeah.
from being a little girl because
Oh.
Longlegs was around and
Yeah.
her mom was like, they were making the dolls and
That would make sense when that Carrie Ann, is that her name? The one that was in the institute?
Yeah.
Because she turns to her and because Agent Harker asks her, "Do you remember that doll?" She goes, "No, and neither do you." Remember she said that.
Oh, yeah.
So it's somehow. So what the hell is in the doll?
But could the 5 people be, what's her name? Harkin?
Harker.
Harker.
Lee Harker.
Her mom, Longlegs. Wait, there's 5. Okay, never mind.
So you had So
the doll and Satan. I don't know.
That's the thing. And again, maybe I was wrong, but I swore I counted 5 on that drawing.
Huh.
But then how long has that drawing been there? We know the mother's a hoarder, right?
You're right. Yeah.
And so was that
It's like nothing's changed in the house
in 20 years
Yeah.
because her Lee's room was still the same.
Yeah.
It just looked clean. That's what was interesting, Scott. The rest of the house was a hoarder house. But Lee's room, it looked untouched. Why? Why was that? Like, it just seemed odd to me. Like, I don't know, man.
She did mention like she were allowed to grow up. Satan,
Yeah.
Satan allowed her doing those deeds for Longlegs.
Yeah.
Allowed her to grow up, but it's like she almost didn't. She wants to go back and like do it all over again without having all that like pressure to assist in murdering people.
Yeah. I mean,
enjoy her
obviously-
daughter's upbringing.
Do you think, though, over time, because, I mean, we're talking about a span of 20 years, right? From 75 to 95 that she was helping him kill. Do you think she got a taste for it? Like, do you think at the first few were probably hard, but then over time she just
It
had...
doesn't seem like it seemed like it was all really difficult, especially at the end. It was like we have to do this like for my daughter.
Yeah. Yeah. But see, that was... Okay. But didn't she tell the mother, like, we have him, he's dead? So why did she feel that it was necessary to go into Agent Carter's house to finish this?
Because of the devil.
So this is supernatural.
Everyone's working for the devil. Longlegs is working for the devil. He did his job. He was happy at the end. He gets caught. But it's unclear. Like, so if you do these things, you get to go to hell, but you get like a special place in hell.
I don't know.
To hang out.
I don't know.
You're going to hell no matter what. But
you get a cool
get a good
like
view.
VIP suite.
yeah, you get a good view of
I
all the
don't know.
gnashing of the teeth and the.
I guess like it's weird. Like so sitting here, we're to assume that there was nothing in the ball that was manipulating. This was the devil. This was strictly the devil. I know, the devil worshiping was huge. The satanic stuff was huge in the 70s, especially with all the cults and stuff.
Yeah.
So we're to assume that's what was happening here. He was building these dolls, and then somehow the devil was put in these dolls. They were manipulating the family to kill.
Yeah.
That's
I think that's what. Well, that's my interpretation of it. I guess it could be open to different things, but it seems like that's what and especially when they have the dolls covered and you see the red eyes. That was some pretty interesting imagery.
I guess. So was each... Okay, so this could be a weird question, but each, all these different dolls that were made for the little girls and their birthdays, I mean, was it the same...
I don't really understand
It's
the
not
birthday
the
thing.
That's what I don't understand. The birthday thing. Was it because he was trying to form the triangle?
I didn't get that.
I didn't get that reference either. Because she said the 14th, but sometimes they happen 6 days before and after.
Yeah. So what's the point?
And I'm not.
It's not on the birthday. It has to be a certain amount of time. It's like it's too
weird.
loose. But then what happens when the triangle is formed? Did they allude to like anything? Was hell on earth going to happen?
I don't. That's the thing. And no, I don't remember.
Did I miss
them.
something? Yeah,
I don't think
again,
so.
I think a lot of the execution of it was muddled. And some of the realism was sort of lost on there. That kind of took me away at some points.
Yeah.
As a like a police or FBI procedural, it gets low marks.
Yes,
because there are things I'm like,
absolutely.
I don't think they do that. Like her performance, which I think was good, and it makes sense in the whole scheme of things when you realize that she's had this doll affecting her for like 20 years. She's withdrawn and she doesn't have a good rapport with people.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, she made it through to be an FBI agent.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think they would.
Yes,
she wouldn't have made it that far.
No, because with the FBI, when they're basically, I'm not gonna say recruiting you, but when you were like, hey, I want to be part of the FBI, dude, you go through so much stuff, it's ridiculous.
Right. Like, watch Silence of the Lambs is an indication of.
Dude, they will run every single
Quantico
test they can possibly run on you.
Yeah.
They would have seen
psychological tests,
everything, dude, everything. So, because they don't just take random people to be part of the FBI, you have to go through some shit. So, like, was none of that a red flag for them?
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that's like they needed another pass through the screenplay. You know, the writers and they need to put themselves in the shoe of every character and like run through every scene. Like, wait a minute, like, would this person really do this? Can we tweak it? You don't have to rewrite everything. Just tweak things a little bit here and there. I feel like that's not done as much these days as it used to be.
Yeah. And I mean, Osgood Perkins, he wrote and directed this, right? That's what Anthony Perkins' son.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any. I guess he's done 3 or 4 other movies. I haven't seen any of them, so
either.
I don't know what he's done. Maybe they're just kind of smaller, stuff.
It seems like he's doing a lot of low budget stuff.
I mean,
this time I heard this was pretty low budget too.
Yeah, I heard something under 10 million.
Yeah,
and probably most of that was Nicolas Cage's salary or something. I don't know what he's getting these days because he puts out 30 movies a year.
Yeah, so. I mean, I saw another movie this week that was another Nicolas Cage from 2024, Arcadian.
Yeah. Oh, did you watch it?
Movie. Yeah.
Did you watch it?
Yeah.
Was it any good? Because that's on my list.
Yeah. Well, it was good.
It was good.
I used my. It was good.
It's good.
It's like it's all
I've
right.
heard mixed things.
It's not great.
Morris watched it. He said it was like, don't waste your time. And I'm like, okay, but I still want to check it out.
There's some interesting things going on. So it's like this. It's like this movie has elements of stuff you've seen before over the last 30 years, right?
Yeah.
You've seen this stuff in a few, but there's a few things in this movie that it provides that is different, like the atmosphere.
Yeah.
Right. And some, especially the ending. It's like I haven't seen something quite like that before. Same thing with Arcadian. It's like, yes, I've seen a post-apocalyptic film about a parent that's watching over kids.
Yes,
I mean, that's Bird Box. That's The Quiet Place. It's all, but there's a few other elements in it that kind of add something to it. They're like, oh, well, I haven't seen it quite like that. It's worth watching.
It's worth the watch?
Yeah, definitely.
Because it's on my list. I have it on my list, and it has Nicolas Cage in it. I mean,
reminds me of, at one point, you'll get this when you watch it, reminds me also of Critters.
Oh, really?
There's like one,
There's one section? Because I love me some, obviously, look at this.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I saw that, yeah.
So, all right. I mean, it's on my list. I haven't had a chance to watch it. And so maybe I'll carve out some time to check it out.
I would. It's on AMC. It's streaming.
Oh, okay.
But man, word of warning: not all streaming services are equal. So I streamed. Obviously, everybody streams.
Yeah.
You have to stream because they. That's how everything's done. Even if you buy it digitally, you don't really buy it digitally. You just buy the rights to stream it whenever you want.
True. Yeah.
Right. You're not really buying it. You're paying for access to it.
Yeah.
Until they decide to take it away.
And
they can take it away anytime
they
they can.
Yeah, they do.
So I streamed it on AMC and it looked like dog shit.
Really?
Yeah. AMC,
Oh, wow.
that streaming service is not great.
It's
but
not
then
good?
I streamed this also on Prime and it was fantastic.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, this is great.
I've streamed on Prime. I've never had any issues.
Sure. Yeah.
I've never streamed on AMC though.
It was fucking terrible.
It was fucking terrible. Okay.
It's just, compression, artifacts, just things like
Really?
in the dark.
That's surprising. Like, because AMC's big. Like, that's a big.
They don't have a good
so maybe
streaming codec or their compression or their servers or I don't know.
All right, people. Well, don't bother with AMC.
I mean, get the free trial. Watch as many movies as you can.
Like I have a few. Like I have Morris has Shudder. And so Shudder has all horror movies, and so a lot of times I can stream off of there, and then other times Max will occasionally have something decent,
Right, yeah.
And I know we watched In a Violent Nature, and I don't remember. We streamed that. I just don't remember where we streamed it.
It's
from.
like the kind of neo slasher.
Yeah,
film,
right? It was okay. Maybe down the road if you want. If you haven't checked it out, check it out. I think you'll probably like it. Morris and I had several issues with it. It's an interesting story. There's a pretty cool kill. It's called the yoga kill, which everyone who's seen it will know what I'm talking about. It's fucking brutal. It's brutal, and in a sense, I'm like, wow, they just did that. I'm like, it's impressive because you watch enough of these movies, you've seen all these kills, right?
Sure, yeah.
And so when they do one that is different, you're like, huh, okay. I mean, it's fucking brutal and gory, but it's like very creative.
Yeah.
But it's okay. Like everyone's like, oh my God, this movie's so great. And they've already like signed on for a sequel. I'm like, yeah, it's all right. Like, I just don't get it. Like, but watch it and we could talk about it.
Okay.
But I don't know, man. I mean, anything else with Longlegs? I felt like this, again, this is a solid outing. There's a lot of good things that are going on in this movie. Some stuff that's unanswered that I wish were like we knew. But maybe we watch it again and we're like, oh, duh.
Sure.
How did we miss that?
Yeah, I don't know if that's us to chalk it up to us missing things because we only watched it once, or just there being a failing of not being able to convey that information through the script. It's like I know you haven't seen Donnie Darko.
Yeah.
But Donnie Darko, if you watch the theatrical version, which I only do because of the music, there's a lot of 80s music in it because it takes place in 88.
Oh, sweet.
So the way it's like the film stock they used, because then the movie was filmed in like 90. What was it? Is it early 2000s, late 90s?
Okay.
So, but the film stock I think they used is made to look like 80s, and then there's a bunch of like Echo and the Bunnymen.
Oh,
and
nice.
A bunch of like 80s music and
some like
all these,
more on the new wave stuff, like on the new wave side. Or no?
Tears for Fears and things like that.
Yeah.
So it's a great film, but if you watch the theatrical, it doesn't make any sense at all. Because it deals with time travel.
Oh, okay.
But it doesn't matter because it's so enjoyable that you kind of get enough of a sense of what it's about. And then there's so many things left unanswered, but you're like, whatever, it doesn't matter. And it's never mattered to me. I've watched the director's cut, which they try to explain everything, and it sucks.
See, there are some movies that like I'm good with most movies not having to explain stuff to me.
Right.
Like, I go back to Insidious. The first one, I loved it. I thought it was great. And then the sequel comes out, and I'm like, you're explaining all the shit that we didn't need you to explain from the first one. It took away from the feeling of the first one.
Right.
I'm like, I didn't need
sometimes
that.
it don't need to be explained.
Sometimes it
it's
doesn't.
Fine.
Yeah, sometimes. And I'm fine with it. Like, I am fine with the unknown sometimes. And then other times, I'm like, oh, I don't know. Like, I felt like I needed something.
You need a crumb to get for something to get from point A to point B. You need, if it has to do with a character motivation, you really need something. I need to know why Longlegs is doing what he's doing. I kind of need a little bit more when it has to do with people in the script doing things. It's like, why are they doing that? That doesn't make sense. Or maybe it makes sense, but I'm not getting everything that they want to.
Yeah.
I don't need the supernatural. I don't need rules explained to me. Like,
no.
Really,
if it's strictly the supernatural and it's the devil, okay.
I get it. Yeah,
I'm cool with that. I'm on board with that. Have you seen Late Night with the Devil?
No. I want to.
You need to check it out. Okay. It's really cool, dude. What I loved about it is it really captured that like 70s talk show feel, captured the 70s, and then it has to do with like demon. I'm a sucker for like, I love ghost shit. I love demon stuff. There are certain other things I'll watch them and I like them. Don't get me wrong, but I these days I seem to gravitate towards like, I love ghost shit. I love demon stuff. I love stuff like that. You know? I'm not religious. I've never been religious, but I enjoy movies that kind of have a religion. Somehow religion is involved.
Right.
You know, like
a real supernatural way, or like a kind of a messed up, like someone's doing terrible things because they get these crazy ideas in their head.
Like Saint Maud comes to mind. Have you seen Saint Maud? Okay, you haven't. So that one, and we have done an episode on that, it's like you're not sure through the movie, is God speaking to her? Is these things happening? But then, well, I don't want to ruin it for people if they haven't.
Sure.
But then you go, oh, fuck. And then you're like, okay, that's cool. Like, I like that because it's this whole, and I don't begrudge anyone for believing in whatever they believe. I don't, but that doesn't, if it helps them out, it's all cool. I love how people interpret religion.
Sure, yeah.
You know, because some people are overboard with it. and they're hypocrites about it. And then, and it's like, or some people are just enough to kind of, in a sense, pretend I'm religious, but you're really not. But you're trying to portray this image. And there's those people out. There's plenty of those people out there. And then it's like, okay, some people that just go like in Saint Maud, just fucking over the top, and she's fucking crazy, but you're not sure. And there's that fine line. And I like stuff like that because then it allows me to kind of like dissect it and kind of get into it, into the, I would say the depth of it, and there's different levels to it and layers, and it's like, okay, it doesn't mean I'm right when I talk about it, but I'm like, okay, but it sounds kind of cool, know, and it's like, so you just don't know.
Did you ever see Frailty? That's a movie that I feel like everyone forgets about.
With what's his
Bill Paxton.
Yeah, Bill Paxton.
Matthew McConaughey.
Enjoyed that.
Bill Paxton directed that one.
Did he?
Yeah.
I've only watched it once, but I remember really liking it.
That's a great movie, and it's something no one talks about anymore. But it has this idea that the dad is doing these killings because God is speaking through him. But then at some point, you're actually like, shit, like, is this really happening? You just think he's crazy the whole time, and then like they kind of flip it. Yeah,
I like that stuff because I'm like, I'm not sure, and I'm sitting there watching this movie, going, whatever movie it might be, fill in the blank. I'm like, is this real? Is this not real? Like, I'm on board if it isn't, or if it is. Like, I'm down for devil stuff. If that's what Longlegs is, essentially, we're dealing with the devil. I'm fine with that.
I am, and I'm not. Like, I have a problem. I love. So the ghost movies and exorcist, anything that's to do with supernatural, I have a huge issue if the movie has to depend on the audience believing in it first. So like the Conjuring movies, like saying that it's based on like true events, totally fucking not. Like,
well, of
all
course
that
it's
shit's
not.
made
Yeah, the
up.
Warrens.
Those are real people, but still, none of that stuff happens.
Yeah, it's very embellished. And
like half the exorcism movies that come out, it's already baked in that they're relying on the audience to believe, to be religious and believe that could happen, rather than a movie that's like over the top and more like it's religious, but it's also like a fantasy. It's kind of its own thing, and it's kind of creating its own rules or ways of doing it. It's not relying on the audience already like, oh, that could happen. Maybe that does happen. So I have a problem with those movies.
I think though, so if you take someone, let's say The Exorcist, for instance, which is to me, that's still one of the greatest films of all time, and it's so well done.
It is.
From top, everything about the movie is so good. It's almost a perfect movie for me, But when people, let's say in 1973, when people were going to watch this, they hadn't seen anything like this before.
Yeah.
Rosemary's Baby, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a very cool movie, but it's not like The Exorcist.
Right,
so then
there's a quality difference.
Very much
in
so.
Something.
Yeah. But see, if you're let's say in 1973, you go to the theater, okay? Let's say half of the crowd is religious and the other half isn't. How are they reacting to this? Like, are both, yes, this could happen, or like, fuck no, this isn't happening. Like, and that's the balance. It's like, it's cool.
But that's what's great about the Exorcist movies that are done really well is they spend so much time creating the world first. It's the real world, but they're going through where everything's coming from. Like, they spend so much time on it that it's a story. It's not just this happens. It's the same world that you live in, but then this happens. It could happen. They're spending this time. They're creating this atmosphere. Yeah. So it's world building, kind of like sci-fi does. I think that's like the difference between something like The Exorcist, would spend so much time building up these characters and then just throwing this thing in, rather than all these other, Exorcism of Emily Rose that are.
I've never seen that. I'll be honest, and I've heard mixed things about it. Like some movies do that demon, the someone's possessed thing really well, and others don't. And then it's like, so it's I don't have issue. I understand what you're saying. I don't necessarily have those.
Yeah, I think my issue is I don't like being treated like an idiot. Like the audience. And so when a film is lazy,
and so you think that, okay,
and they're already relying on the audience believing in something first, like this is a true story. Like right from the fucking get-go, you're like, oh, okay.
So what you're saying is, and take The Exorcist and throw that out because I know you're not talking about that film in general, but some of these other ones that say, that this is based off of this is loosely based off of a story, like they say with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like, oh, that's, I think it's Ed Gein, right? I think,
yeah.
And then the Conjurings or the stuff that with the Warrens or I have not seen that Exorcism of Emily Rose. I don't know. Was it
They did the same thing.
They did the same thing.
It was totally different.
So those movies are the ones that kind of, because they're saying it's based in some sort of reality that it really did happen.
Right from the beginning, that's a lie. That's a blatant lie that they're manipulating the audience from the get-go.
Okay, I get what you're saying.
And it's like, it makes me angry. It's like, you're doing that to manipulate me, to use either my beliefs or sentimentality. And it's the same thing with drama or something. Don't use sentimentality to manipulate me. I'm always on the lookout for a movie that's the film. That's like going to film school, or it's like there's teachers that were like, movies will try to manipulate you. They will try to put in product. They will try to put in messages.
Oh, for sure.
Just be on the lookout. You don't have to treat everything like shit. Just be on the lookout because they will, there's good ways to manipulate the audience. Yeah. Of getting somebody to feel something or to getting somebody in the shoes of a character you wouldn't normally be in the shoes, a point of view. Yeah. But then there are ways, obviously, when they, from the beginning, this is based on true events. Like, okay, no, it's not.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not.
I get you. Okay, I respect that. I understand where you're coming from now. I thought it maybe was just as a whole, and I'm like, that's not what you're saying.
Like Poltergeist. I love Poltergeist. It's a fantasy movie. It's ghosts, but it's a fantasy movie. Right? It's not fucking... what are those paranormal... What are those...
Paranormal Activity. I've never seen one of those.
And those rely on the audience believing that could happen at their house.
I've never seen one of those.
I haven't either, but I've just seen clips. And I know, I get the idea. You don't need to see it.
Poltergeist, it's so funny that you bring up Poltergeist because a great movie, but if you rewatch it and you're talking about how they manipulate you for products... Rewatch Poltergeist again, and product placement everywhere. Everywhere, dude.
Sure.
It's all over the place. Like they're shoving it down your throat. When you're a kid and watching it, you don't get it.
It's like, I need a Coke.
And it's literally, dude, I am not kidding you. It's fucking everywhere. I'm like, holy shit, I didn't recognize this before.
Right.
And so, of course they manipulate you. Now, not all films do that,
Well, now it's more prevalent than ever because... Now it's like luxury items, but back in the 80s, it was like really subtle stuff, right? You just have like they go to get a Big Mac, they're drinking a Coke. It's stuff in the background. They could be getting any hamburger, but it's a Big Mac. But now they're driving fucking Lexus cars, and the camera is just staying on a Lexus car during a chase the entire time.
It's true.
That is just so blatant,
It is.
That's maddening.
Well, but I mean, if you think I'm not saying it's right because I agree with you, but nowadays it seems almost impossible to make a film because, and when I was turning on Longlegs, I'm like, how many companies did it take to make this low budget movie? Like that's the thing. So if you're doing a movie and Mercedes is going to throw you some money or BMW, you're like, sure, I'll take that because it'll help us with this. Because I think a lot of times these movies I know movies when they're filmed, they're everything's filmed out of order, but then I always come back to the same thing. You fucked up the ending. Why did you fuck up the ending? Is it because you ran out of time and money, or is this you just screwed it up?
Yeah.
And so if
or
you
there
had
too many cooks in the kitchen.
Possibly.
Because, when you have to get funding from a prince in Saudi Arabia for one end and some like multinational corporation, a little bit here, a little bit there. And everybody's got to have their own goddamn logo in there because everything is about branding. So you have 20 seconds to a minute and a half of like logos. And then not only the logos, but when they start the movie, it's in print. And every single one, something production, then something production, something production.
Donovan and I were talking about this when we watched Late Night with the Devil. Dude, there had to have been 20 companies. We thought it was actually a joke. Yeah. We thought, are they just playing a joke with us? No, there was like 20. Maybe it wasn't 20, but it felt like 20. Like, I'm like, okay, the movie's going to start. Oh, no, now it's another production company. Oh, it's another one. And I'm like, what the hell? Is it that difficult now to make movies? Like, to get the funding to make movies? Especially... Look, $10 million to you and I is a shit ton of money, But in the
a
scheme,
film that's gone.
That's
I mean,
gone.
That's
Like,
on a Marvel movie, that's just the craft services. Literally.
yes, that's their food budget.
Right.
I mean, so I don't know, man.
I
Like,
think it's the studio system, how it's broken out from where it used to be. You know, how we just have 1-2 studios paying for something.
yeah.
That we don't have that anymore. Now we have streaming companies and big corporations who are funding these things, or maybe they don't want a company to fund it, so they try to get as much money from all these different little sources as they can and pile them up. But then again, you get the issue of everybody.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
But it's like,
it's funny. It's funny, dude. Yeah. I don't know.
and then everybody has to come up with something different for their logo. You know,
They
it's
do.
some animatic. It's like, just have
This
a logo.
was funny. I know this is so stupid, but when I was watching Longlegs, and I'm a designer at heart, so I look at stuff and I'm like,
Right.
oh, that's kind of a cool logo, but why did they put a period at the end of that? So I don't remember what the production company was. But
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I can't
but it
remember
was a
off the top of
dot
my
at the
head.
end, and I'm
Yeah.
like, well, why? Why is there a period after the end of that?
Yeah, and then when
Like, that made-
when it had it in print, it
Yes,
said something dot
With
and then
a-
production
yes!
after it. Like that's
exactly.
that
That's what
bothered
I'm
me
talking
too.
about. And I even said, because Donovan was in the room when I was watching it, and I said, why is that dot? And he goes, I don't know. I'm like, it's weird, right? Because you're saying the name of your company. It's one word, and I can't remember what it was. And then there's a dot, and then you have that. I'm like, that makes no sense to me.
Yeah,
I know it's
looks like a
stupid
typo.
and we're rambling now, but it's a little shit like that that annoys me.
It's just from like rambling from years of loving cinema, and then now being in an age where everything's completely different from the first 40 years of your life of
Pretty much,
cinema. It
yeah.
basically didn't change for the most of as it developed through the 20th century.
Yeah.
But in especially the last 10 years,
10
everything
years
has
for sure.
completely changed.
It is. And I'm not saying there's some really good stuff out there. Don't get me wrong. But
There's a lot of stuff out there now.
There's a lot.
If you don't have to go through exhibition for your movie and you can just stream it, now you have 4 or 5 times the amount of horror films that are out there than there would normally be.
Definitely, man.
And it's a good thing, but at the end but also it's hard. I can't keep up. If you basically any movie that you ask me if I've seen like in the last 5 years, I'm like, no, I haven't.
Dude, last night, and then we'll wrap this up. But last night I'm on Instagram, and one of the things that I follow, they're like, hey, check out these horror movies, and there was a list of like 10. And so I had a little bit of time. I was just chilling in my bed, and I'm like, I'll check out trailers for all of them. And they were there was one that looked halfway decent and had to do with like werewolves. And Operation Blood Hunt. The name sounds awful. And I'm like, and maybe the movie shit, I don't know. But the trailer out of the 10 that I looked at, that was the only one that I'm like, okay, I might watch this.
Sounds like it could be an awesome B movie. You know, like
Yeah.
Hell Comes the Frog Town. You know, like one of those.
It reminded
titles.
me of Dog Soldiers. It looked, but not as cool as Dog Soldiers. But they're on their hind legs and they're monsters, and it looked like some sort of military thing. I'm like, I'm down for that. So it's a movie I might check out. But like I said, out of the 10, and some looked like they had money behind them, and they looked like shit. I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm not going to watch any of these.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's our rant. I should have hit the random rant. We should have put that in there.
Right, yeah.
That's the big budget
You never
sound
know
effect.
when you're going to do that.
I
though.
never know, because that's why it's called
And it
random
might
rant.
ruin the spontaneity.
That's
of
right.
something, too.
But anyways, I don't know, man. But anything else on Longlegs? No?
No, I mean, I think we hit most of the marks.
I think we did.
I will just say Nicolas Cage is always, for my money, you know what you're going to get, but you don't know what you're going to get. Yeah. Sometimes familiar, like he's hitting marks here that he's done before, but in the same way, it's like it's a little bit different.
A little different. No, I mean, it's a good movie. I think it's a solid movie. It has its... Dude, I know.
I'm always waiting for those Nicolas Cage crazy breakdowns.
Yeah. But I mean, I say check it out.
Yeah.
Let us know what you think. It's
Absolutely.
like I said, it's not a perfect film, but it's a good film.
It's worth the watch. Definitely.
It's worth the watch. Yeah. So, anyways, that's Longlegs, everyone. Thanks for listening. Thanks for letting us bitch for the last 15 minutes. Everyone, take care. Thanks for coming out,
Thank
bud.
you.
All right, man. You listened all the way to the end. We appreciate that. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Ear for Fear Podcast, Twitter at Ear for Fear, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Ear for Fear Podcast. You can also check out our website, earforfear.com. There we list news and events. We're available on all the main platforms, so make sure you tell a friend. We hope you come back and get an earful.